I'll never forget the sight. Two bulky men in cheap uniforms clambering over my white picket fence. Their shirts read Willow Creek Code Enforcement. Patches crookedly stitched, clipboards clutched like props. They thought they were on an easy job. Trespassing, vandalizing, maybe stealing. What they didn't know was that the house they were breaking into didn't belong to some helpless homeowner. It belonged to the city's chief of police. Me. And every step they took was being recorded from half a dozen hidden cameras. What they thought would be a routine inspection would end up in national headlines, and their biggest mistake ever. When my wife and I bought our house in Willow Creek, it felt like the dream we'd been saving toward for years. Quiet streets, beautiful lawns, a giant oak tree in the backyard, perfect for our 8-year-old son. The neighborhood looked like something out of a commercial. Neighbors waved politely. Lawns were trimmed to perfection. The only odd thing was the HOA contract. It was enormous, dozens of pages dictating every detail, down to the height of a garden gnome. We laughed it off at first. How bad could it be? I thought. But then, small things started happening. A white envelope appeared on our porch, violation notice. My grass, apparently, measured 3/4 of an inch too long. Another notice came the following week. Our garbage bin had stayed visible for 15 minutes too long. It felt like someone was watching us. Measuring. Counting. Waiting for us to slip up. Still, we brushed it aside, too excited about our new home. Little did I know, these petty notices were just the beginning. Behind the perfectly painted shutters and manicured hedges lurked a woman who ran the HOA like her personal kingdom. And she was about to declare war on my family. The oak tree in our backyard was magnificent, with thick branches just begging to hold a treehouse. My son was ecstatic. "Dad, it can be my castle," he told me, eyes shining. So, I did everything by the book. I pulled permits from the city, followed codes, even sent the HOA a courtesy copy. They replied with a single word, "Received." I took that as a green light. That weekend, my son and I got to work. He wore his little plastic hard hat and supervised while I measured twice, cut once. My wife brought out sandwiches. It was perfect. Until she showed up. The HOA president. Neighbors called her the Dragon Lady. She marched right up to our property line, eyes locked on the treehouse platform we'd just finished. "I'm the president of this HOA," she announced, "and that structure is unapproved. You have 48 hours to dismantle it, or we will." I calmly showed her the permit, the bylaws, everything in order. But her eyes narrowed. "This isn't about permits. This is about protecting the neighborhood." My son clutched my hand, whispering, "Dad, is she going to tear down my treehouse?" I promised him, no one touches it. I had no idea how wrong I'd be. I'll never forget the phone call. My wife's voice, broken and panicked, she cut it down. By the time I sped home, patrol cars and an ambulance were already in front of our house. The treehouse, the hours of work, the joy in my son's eyes, was a pile of shattered wood. And my boy sat in a paramedic's care, his forehead bleeding, arm in a sling. He had been inside when the Dragon Lady soared through the supports. I snapped. The officers arrested her for criminal destruction and reckless endangerment. But that was only the beginning. She launched a campaign against us. Flyers in mailboxes. Social media posts claiming we'd built an illegal death trap. Neighbors who once waved now crossed the street to avoid us. The HOA board, shockingly, backed her up, even using community funds for her legal defense. We were literally paying for the lawyer defending the woman who hurt my son. Every night, my wife and I sat at the kitchen table drowning in legal papers. Our dream home had become a prison. But I wasn't just a homeowner. I was the chief of police. And when the Dragon Lady decided to escalate, I decided to fight back, on my terms. I knew she'd try again. So, I prepared. I installed hidden, professional-grade cameras around my property, disguised as birdhouses, porch lights, even a sprinkler head. Every angle was covered, every word recorded. Then, I planted bait. Casually, I told one of her loyal lieutenants, our nosy neighbor, that my family was heading to the mountains for the weekend. No phone service. Just peace and quiet. That evening, the cameras caught her. She stood in her driveway with two rough-looking men. She handed them an envelope, and I heard every word. "They'll be gone Friday. You need to do a full compliance inspection." One man chuckled. "Lady, for this much, we'll do more than inspect." She didn't smile. "Check everything. If you need to enter the house, do it. You have uniforms." Uniforms. Fake code enforcement shirts. She wasn't just harassing us anymore. She was orchestrating a break-in. I sat in my office, watching the live feed, feeling both fury and cold determination. She thought she was untouchable. She had no idea she was digging her own grave. The trap was set. All I had to do was wait. Friday afternoon. A beat-up sedan pulled up. Two men stepped out, wearing ridiculous polyester shirts with WC code enforcement stitched on the sleeves. They carried clipboards, trying to look official. They knocked loudly on the front door. Waited. Peered inside. Then one whispered, "Guess no one's home. Let's check the backyard." They climbed the fence, right into my trap. That's when I slid open the patio door. I stepped out, not in jeans or a t-shirt, but in full dress uniform. The gold stars on my collar gleamed. The badge on my chest caught the afternoon sun. They froze mid-step. One dropped his clipboard. The other stammered, oh no. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. "You're trespassing on the property of the chief of police." The color drained from their faces. From across the yard, I saw a curtain shift. The dragon lady was watching. Her jaw dropped. The look on her face said it all. She realized too late. She had sent fake cops to rob the real one. I keyed my radio MSC signal is green. Within 60 seconds, unmarked cars sealed off the street. A black and white pulled into my driveway. 4 officers in tactical vests slipped through the side gate. The 2 imposters raised their hands, trembling. "Don't shoot," one squeaked. They were cuffed within moments. That's when the dragon lady stormed out of her house, screaming, "Those men work for the HOA. This is an official inspection. You have no right." My sergeant looked her dead in the eye. We have video and audio of you hiring them to commit a break-in." I walked across the lawn until I stood face to face with her. "We have everything. Every word, every instruction, every dollar you paid them. It's over." Her face went pale. For the first time, she had no words. The cuffs clicked shut around her wrists. The mighty dragon lady was led away, not in triumph, but in disgrace. The cameras kept rolling. And by the next morning, the entire country would see exactly what kind of monster had been hiding behind manicured lawns and HOA bylaws. The story exploded. Local news, national news, viral headlines, HOA president sends fake cops to harass police chief. The HOA board resigned overnight. The shady contracts, the harassment, the threats, it all came to light. Neighbors who once avoided us left flowers and thank you cards. For the first time, people felt free. The dragon lady faced a mountain of charges: conspiracy, destruction of property, assault, impersonating officials. Her inspectors turned on her immediately, confessing everything. In court, she pled guilty. The judge sentenced her to prison. She left the courtroom a broken woman. But for us, the true justice came at home. Neighbors rallied to rebuild my son's treehouse. The new HOA, led by a kind engineer, turned the project into a community event. The sound of hammers and laughter replaced months of fear. My wife walked into her school with her head held high. My son climbed into his new fortress, waving down at me proudly. And me? I learned something important. Sometimes, you can't beat a bully by playing her game. You beat her by letting her walk straight into her own trap. When those fake cops climbed my fence, they weren't just trespassing. They were stepping into the end of her reign and the beginning of our peace.